the Book of Remembrance of Melchizedek, including the little book of John the Revelator, forward. As I write this final forward to the Book of Remembrance series, it is hard to believe it has been over 20 years since we began this process. These books have changed and shaped our community and our people in so many ways. I will always be grateful to have been part of this process. I am a very different person than I was when I began helping to produce the first volume of the sealed portion of The Brother of Jared back in 2001. In many ways, I feel like I have been waiting for the information in this volume all my life. It gives me the long sought after tools and the answers to join fully to the Eerkodeshiy as my kindred and family. It used to seem mysterious, and now I know that we were each born to do just that, bond completely with our family in the Eerkodeshiy. Now it is not mysterious, but very natural. I have felt the Eerkodeshiy waking up, or is it me that is waking up? And I can sense their life and awareness in ways I have never noticed before. They are there and they watch me as I walk about during my day. They want to be a part of it all. I recently was speaking on the phone to a new friend who is just beginning her journey of studying through these books of remembrance. As we were sharing together, she said, "My husband said that he feels like this book was written just for him." As I have typed, edited, read, and reread this manuscript, I have had that experience over and over again. I feel like this book was written just for me. So personally does the information apply to my life. It is my prayer that you will have this same experience and feel like this book was written just for you. It was. Blessings to you all in your journey of becoming Shema, Chief Scribe. The Introduction. This is the last volume of the Book of Remembrance Library. I began using the Urim a little more than 24 years ago. It is interesting to note how the record of the visions that came by Urim has matured. Not only have I aged, but I have matured in my relationship with the Lord and become more comfortable using the Urim. At the beginning, I had all kinds of pressures on me. I was afraid I could not be worthy to look. I worried that what I might see would bring criticism, but those concerns evaporated when I discovered that I had no control over what was seen. My job was to just try to say something to the scribes that could later be written into something adequately representing what I had seen. What I heard was the easy part. What I felt was often held back in the first 2 volumes. Over the years, I gradually began to gain confidence in expressing what I felt while viewing with the Urim. And I feel like the quality of the record improved as I was able to allow the Spirit to help me to express my feelings. Now we have come to the conclusion of this record. It is actually the most long-awaited pinnacle of what we would receive because we knew the covenant tablet would bring significant information on the covenant and that the timing was becoming more urgent by the day because of the world conditions. But the Lord is wise and has timed these records coming just in the most needed time. After being a covenant community for so long, it is amazing how much we did not know about the covenant of Shabuah. But it is no wonder the covenant has been one of the most fought against spiritual powers since before the time of the flood. And while it took only 11 generations to be originally established, the pathway to doing so was difficult and was done with many contributions by holy people. I often think of how different the world would be had Israel accepted and lived by what is written on this tablet, both in the symbols and the meaning found in the lives of those who brought it about and set it in place. The Essenes came the closest, but they had many disadvantages that were to be overcome. Essenism was primarily brought by Zadok, the scribe and librarian and archivist of Nehemiah. The people were taken into captivity so unexpectedly that many records were abandoned, and Zadok collected them, and what he left the world is that which became the Essene expression of Judaism. Now, in this book of remembrance, we find many missing links, and the full restoration of the ancient church is possible in Shabuah. I am sure the Lord accepts all the forms of religious expression of those who truly love him. But there is something remarkably comforting now to have the full message. And while this is not by any means the end of the story, it is the most vital expression yet that will help the Lord's people come through the tribulation times. And I think this is the principal value of this record and why it came when it did. As we progressed over the years in receiving these volumes, it became more and more evident that the Lord gained more control over how the distinct messages were structured. This can be seen by looking at the scribe notes. The scribing for the first book of Kahee took 12 sessions. Almost always a session lasts about 45 minutes to an hour. That means just 12 hours resulted in that entire book. The second book of Kahee took 8 sessions, and it was a much smaller book. By the time we got to this volume of the experiences of Melchizedek, we sat before the urn 29 times, and this volume is not quite as big as the Book of Remembrance of Enoch. What this means is that the Lord was able to take more and more control of how the messages from the visions were structured. We heard more and more dictation to record, and the record began to express less and less of my human influence. And finally, the little book of John the Revelator at the end was practically dictated word for word. It is hard to even describe just how comforting that was, being aware of the life and death importance of what is recorded there for those living through the tribulations. The Lord put this volume together in His own way also. This volume, the Book of Remembrance of Melchizedek, is speaking for the Eerkodeshiy. It is a message from their perspective. The Lord knew that this type of perspective was so foreign to the world, and in many ways to me, that He cautioned me 7 times to listen very carefully to what I would be hearing and seeing. I soon got the message to look for the profound and the unexpected, and it turned out that the most difficult question man can attempt to answer was answered in this record. We were shown what part of God His Son is and just how He got that way. The Lord revealed exactly how the virgin birth was accomplished and also the resurrection. Both of those things are actual facts and reality. And those of us who have hung on to that faith in the face of ridicule and naysaying have our faith now fully justified. Wow, folks, your love for Him and faith in Him has become a crown of glory for you, which came by His steadfast and loving hand. We will praise His name forever. And there is so much like that in this book. We have been led to put at the end the little book of John the Revelator, which includes personal counsel from the Lord for His people in the tribulation times. And the voice of the 7 thunders that John was not permitted to write are now placed before us. And it has been exciting to learn of the upbringing of Melchizedek and his courtship and marriage. It turns out his wife is an archangel in the next life, and she was called Shun by her family. But the Lord named her Zedekiah because of her role in establishing Shabua alongside her husband. And we finally found out the real place for women in religion. It was so startling to me that upon seeing it, I stopped viewing with Urim and told the scribes what I had seen. They were eager for me to go on, so we continued. I am sure that this long hidden revelation caused by bias toward women will be an important milestone for the Lord's people during these end days. The night after our last Urim session, when all the information for this volume on Melchizedek was finished, my guardian angel came to me and held me in the arms of his presence as if to say, "Well done, little son." I am so grateful to the Lord that He has now brought this record to the world. Ben Elam, the Seer, March 2021. This concludes the Book of Remembrance of Melchizedek, the Covenant Tablet of Shabua, the Foreword and Introduction. Shalom.